everyone, and welcome to the Leader's Voice series, where in each episode we sit down with pioneers in business, innovation, and leadership. We explore their stories and how they got to where they are today. We discuss the challenges they faced, the lessons they learned, and most importantly, their insights to guide us as we shape our own journeys. Whether you're a student, a young professional, or simply in search of real world advice, the Leader's Voice series is the space where inspiration meets growth. I'm your host, Apoorva George, and I'm pleased to host the second episode of our series with a remarkable young individual. Today, we are joined by the co founder and co president of Brampton FBLC, JEC, and Target Alpha, Hasham Ahmad.
Hi.
From starting small, Sorry. From starting small to now leading Brampton's most inspiring youth led organizations, Hasham's journey is all about passion, purpose, and perseverance. Through his leadership, Hasham has inspired many through his actions of empowering youth in business and creating impact driven programs, such as this podcast I'm honored to be a part of. Before we head into a conversation filled with insight and inspiration, Hasham, tell me, how are you feeling today?
uh, Feeling fine, I guess. I've just been working for the past few hours, but can't be worse. What about you?
I'm good, thank you. All right, starting off, could you share the story behind how our chapter was founded and what inspired its creation?
All right, so I can't say from the other president and the other co-president's perspective, but I'll just go over my perspective. So what happened was around late August 2024, my friend Arjun Varaj, he goes to UTS. He told me about FBL Canada. So I researched FBL Canada, right? I didn't know what it was, and I was captivated by how the organization functions. So then I decided to start my own FBLC chapter at my school, Jean Augustine. So the first month, like almost all of September, I tried to start my own chapter at my school, but eventually they rejected my um application to start my chapter at Jean Augustine because they already had a DECA chapter. But then what happened was I came in contact with Ruskin, our former president, and he talked with me and I talked with him a bit, and he said that why don't you work with me and co-found Brampton FBLC. So from there, me, Ruskin, and Pinareeth worked together to start up Brampton FBLC around early October.
I see. That's incredible, Hasham. I must say, our team is very proud of how far Brampton FBLC has come. Now, for my next question, as a grade 11 student, Hasham, how do you ensure managing your time efficiently with academics and the club?
All right. So I usually try to do most of my schoolwork at school, and at home I try to start working around 4 p.m. and finish by 7:30 to 8 p.m. And after if I have time, I work on any FBLC matters. And also at school, sometimes I have free periods, so I just work on FBLC stuff there. And also sometimes I'm just chilling and I just get an idea, so I start working on my iPad. Also, I just work here and there. Uh, I usually focus more on FBLC work during the weekend and usually reserve the weekday for schoolwork, but I often switch things around because I like to work on both things simultaneously.
All right, thank you for sharing. I'm sure many of us watching could definitely use this insight for better time management. Now, next, what advice would you give to a student who is interested in building or starting their student-led club?
Okay, so one thing I'd say is that you need passion. When I first started Jean Augustine FBLC, or at least I tried to start it, they rejected me. So many students at that point would just give up and probably join DECA, for example, or just give up on their hopes of starting their own chapter. But if you're passionate about something, you should not give up. So, like I didn't give up. I started Brampton FBLC. Always have different um plans, right? So if plan A fails, you start plan B. And also another thing is, as I said, if you have passion, you can do whatever you want, but you also need motivation. If you aren't motivated to help high schoolers or like build something, then you can never succeed. So over the past year, I've seen many chapters start up and fail, and I've seen one common thing, that their presidents either weren't invested in their club, or they didn't have any passion. So the thing I'd say, that you must have passion and motivation to start something and build something.
That's such great advice, Hasham. It's not always easy to do such a thing, but I'm sure your words would have helped ease the stress of some of our listeners out there. Now, following up, what were some challenges you faced in terms of getting this chapter together, and what kept you going during those tough times?
Okay, so the first challenge we faced, and by far the hardest challenge we had to overcome, was getting our first 20 members.
Mm,
So when we first started in late October, we launched our club in late October, but we founded it in early October. So the first 2 weeks we just started to set up infrastructure, right? So Google Classroom, Discord, Instagram. And after that, in late October, while most FBLC chapters were already up and running, we just started. So the hardest part was for us to recruit journal members and executives, since nobody knew us, right? So after we got our first 20 members, then it was really easy to pivot off from that point. Because at in a life cycle of a chapter, right? There is one hurdle that every new chapter must overcome. It's to get your first 20 members. Once you have your first 20 members and an executive team, then you can easily have exponential growth. So like for us, we in 2025, like early 2025, we reached around 70 members. So just I'd say that getting the first 20 members was really hard, but after uh, it became easier for us. And also, as for your other part of the question, so in those moments when I was working to deal with those challenges, I always remembered that I got rejected and I must create something bigger than I could ever do at school, so I can come back and prove to everybody that a rejection is not the end of your journey. It's just the start of something greater.
fantastic. No, thank you for sharing. Now, Hasham, I've been hearing some news regarding an Ascend Council, where all chapters associated with FBL Canada, JEC Canada, and Target Alpha Canada unite for collaborative purposes. Could you give our listeners some more information about this?
Yeah, all right. So, firstly, just to say something, Ascend Council, first at the start of its founding, was only for chapters associated with FBL Canada, Target Alpha Canada, or JEC Canada. But now we changed our constitution to allow any business club in Canada to register. So even if you're a DECA chapter, for example, you can register. Or let's say you're an individual business club with no association, like you're not associated with any other organization, you can join as well. So basically, you pretty much summarize it really well. But the the Ascent Council is a unitary council of business clubs across Canada. You can think of it as the United Nations, but for business clubs. Our entire goal is to work together to make a national impact. So we want to connect small business clubs nationwide and help them make an impact that goes beyond their school or their city. We want them to um, influence students across the entire country. So that's our entire goal. And we also want to foster collective growth within all of our member clubs.
I see. Thank you for sharing. Now, listeners, if you are a part of any chapter associated with the following, or know of someone who is, please be sure to send this information to them and check out Ascend Council on Instagram. Okay. Okay, Hasham, so what's your vision for the future of the chapter and what legacy do you hope to leave behind?
Okay, so my vision for the chapter is that in the future, I at least hope that our chapter has around 300 members. So yeah, it's a really big goal. And I also hope that our chapter has around 30 plus admins and executives. So from 2024 to 2025, so our first term to the 2025 and 2026 term, our goal is to like increase our membership considerably. Well, that's one goal. Then I also want to position us as a national level chapter, not just as a regional chapter. We want to have national impact. So founders then
Mhm.
we want to host more national competitions like that in the future. And as I said before, if we do hopefully get 300 members, then we plan to do many more in-person events as well. Last year we were only able to do one winter social. So this year I mean the next term, so 2025, 2026,
Mhm.
we plan to do at least two for general members and like two trips for executives. So that's that. And I also plan to uh, basically uh, operate our chapter as a professional entity rather than just a high school club. I really hate the idea of how high school clubs are ran because
Oh,
I feel that they're really unprofessional. So I want to make sure that our club is really professional. We want to be at a level that we we are seen as like a top level organization in Canada. So that's my main goal for the next year.
all right. We love that. We love to be ambitious. Now, you did mention Founders Den. Would you care to give some information about what that is for our listeners?
Yeah, so Founders Den, right? It was our first ever national event we hosted with Central Peel FLA. So basically, the Founders Den was a business pitch competition where we gathered a bunch of judges and then competitors across Canada presented a unique business idea in front of a panel of judges, and then the best team won. I'm pretty sure one team won uh, facility tour to Brampton Entrepreneurship Center, and
Wow.
they won coffee chat with IB admission officers, and one team won like a bunch of um gift cards.
Wow, listeners, are we hearing this? It seems like a great opportunity. All right, now,
And
Hasham.
uh,
Oh, sorry, please continue.
sorry to interrupt you, but next year we plan to get more funding, so we plan to incorporate more financial prizes in the competition. So our plan is to at least have $200 worth of prizes next year for the competition.
Wow, very ambitious. Now, Hasham, how has starting and leading this initiative of FBLC Brampton helped you in building your skill set?
Okay, that's a really nice question. So back before I started FBLC, I'm gonna be completely honest. I was barely doing anything. I was not involved in high school clubs. I was a marketing officer for one small club, but that's not much. But I never really uh talked with people outside of my school, and I was not really like I wasn't really that confident. I was really shy back then, and I really didn't know how I can lead like a bigger team, right? So after joining Brampton FBLC and leading it, I learned a lot of things. So not only technical skills, I learned leadership and how I can deal with other people. Uh, Sometimes some scenarios were a bit stressful, but I learned how to manage that stress, and I learned how to really, like, as I said before, deal with people. Is when you start to move into the professional world, it's really important that you know your interpersonal skills, right? If you're not good with
Right.
that, then you won't be able to succeed. So being able to communicate with executives, journal members, community stakeholders, it allowed me to really boost my public speaking skills, and that has really helped me shape who I am right now. And I just hope that next year I can go further than I am right now, and hopefully I can inspire other people as well.
That's incredible, Hasham. I have to say, you are inspiring many people as of now, me included. Now, I have a question regarding the subsidiaries of Brampton FBLC. How are you able to acquire the subsidiaries of Brampton FBLC?
Okay, so the way we acquired our subsidiaries was interesting, since it involved a lot of um inter-organizational uh dealings. I can't really disclose how I actually acquired them, since
Mhm.
I must try to discuss that I would be in trouble. But I can
That's
say
okay.
that I had a few calls with headquarters and I sent a few emails, and then I got our Brampton Target Alpha first, and then Brampton JEC. One thing I'd like to note is that acquiring subsidiaries is a really hard job. However, once you do acquire the subsidiaries, it elevates the status of your chapter. So there is rarely any other chapter in Canada with a subsidiary. So it positions our chapter as one of the leading chapters nationwide. So that's one of the biggest perks, and also it helps our members a lot, because now our members are able to participate in SPC, STC, FPC, JCBC, and other events from like JEC Canada or Target Alpha Canada. Uh, Apart from that, next year, with our new subsidiary management director, we plan to acquire 2 to 3 more subsidiaries. So, as I said
Wow.
before, we have big ambitions for next year, and with those ambitions, we will need to acquire more subsidiaries and expand our reach. So, yeah.
Wow, that's excellent. Now, my next question is about your management. As you're saying, for next year, you have a lot of plans. So, how do you develop your executive teams and how do you deal with some incompetent officers?
Okay, that's also a really interesting question. So, how I manage the executive, right? I'm gonna start off with this year. So I'm not saying our officers this year were bad. I'm gonna say they were a really great, like there was a lot of great people I met,
Good to
especially
hear.
our officers this year. Wonderful people. But the thing is, when you start a new chapter, right? You're desperate for officers. So
True.
we didn't have the opportunity to really test our all of our candidates, and we didn't have that many candidates. We had like 30 candidates because we knew nobody really knew us,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
totally.
when we, as I said, we were desperate for executives, if I'm being honest. So we picked the best we could find. I'm not saying that the current executives aren't good, but if we had more time, maybe we could find more people who had more skills.
Mhm.
And apart from this year, if I'm gonna focus on next year. So we're expanding our executive team a lot for 2025, 2026.
Okay.
Firstly, we have, I think, I don't exactly remember how many new departments we added, but I can just list all of the new executive positions we have. We have 8 new education officer roles available. We have an entire new department just for outreach. So it has a director of outreach and recruitment, and I think 4 to 3 outreach officers. And then we
Wow.
have a marketing department with 3 marketing officers and 1 marketing department.
Oh,
Then we
wow.
have our subsidiary management department. It only has one member, and it's the director of subsidiary management. And apart from those departments, we have our special functions department. So in that department, we have, I think, three finance officers and two systems officers who manage our website and membership portal app. So yeah, we're expanding a team a lot. And now how we're gonna pick the new officers, that's also really interesting since last year we only had two stages when we were picking the candidates, but this year we have three stages to pick the candidates. So starting off with a written application. This year applications are much harder and more detailed because we want to pick the cream of the crop. Then if they pass the applications,
Yeah.
then they'll move on to the second stage, which is uh evaluated task. So basically they'll have to get on a Google Meet call with me and the other admins, and they'll be given a task. So let wait, I can't say that, but uh,
That's
they'll be
okay.
given they'll be given a task to do, right, that relates to their
Mhm.
role. And um if they do good in that task, then they'll move on to the final stage, which is an interview with all of our admins. So that's like five people. So after they pass all of that, they finally become an executive member. And after
Wow.
you do become an executive member, then there's more stuff. So we really believe that we believe in training our executives a lot. So
Mhm.
next
It's
year I've
important.
developed a leadership academy. So new executives will go through three sessions where they'll learn new things and how they can align their current skill set with the goals of the chapter. And then at the end they'll have to do a written in-person exam at our um Toronto executive trip. The exam itself isn't that strict, but we just want to check how like if they learned anything from the training we gave them. And after that, then they're full-fledged certified executives of our club, and they'll practically have a national comp. They would be competent enough to be on a national level team. So we're
Wow.
really preparing them for a national level role, not just a simple business club community level role. So that's my goal for executives. And now I'm elaborating more. Uh,
Mhm.
so once we've hired the execs, trained them, so now it's time to deal with the execs, right?
Yeah.
At least how I deal with the executives is that I hold them to a very high standard. If you saw my presidential seal, right, it said in the motto, excellence through discipline. So I believe that every exec who does the work, puts in the hours, will excel in their field, right? So I give them really hard tasks just to make sure that they learn. And that doesn't mean I just give them impossible tasks. I give them tasks that are obviously doable
Yes,
and
yes.
also help them. But I really want our executives to be independent and like they're able to do the work like, by themselves and at a quality that matches a national level. So, and then lastly, um, how I deal with incompetent officers. So at Brampton FBLC, we are really strict with work. We expect all our officers to do the work, right? I understand things come up, so sometimes they won't be able to meet a deadline, so that's fine. But if you don't do the work at all, then unfortunately, we'll have to remove you from the team
Yeah.
because we can't have
Understandable.
officers who are bad, so we just remove them. We don't tolerate incompetency in our team.
Wow, that was a lot of information and a lot of changes too. But it's exhilarating to learn about how you manage your team, and that was some really good information. Thank you, Hasham. So, in terms of chapter awards, what are some awards that Brampton FBLC has received so far? Because I've heard our chapter is doing amazing.
Or I'll just look up at our awards wall. It's right beside me. So, we won New Chapter of the Year award from Target Alpha.
Wow.
Then we won first place in outreach for S no no not SPC, I mean STC. so the stock trading competition, and we also won first place in outreach for the financial planners conference. For all of those awards were from Tiger Alpha.
Wow, that's really impressive. Listeners, are we hearing this though? Like Brampton FBLC is thriving out there. Now, I probably should have asked this earlier, but in terms of like participations, what are some events that the general members and the chapter would participate in? Hasham. Okay. All right, so Hasham, I've heard that your executive teams go on trips annually. Could you give some information about that?
All right, so for 2025, 2026, we launched a new executive enrichment program. So in that program, we take our executives to two trips in the summer. So our first trip is an informal trip. We're gonna go to Canada's Wonderland. We'll spend the
Ooh.
entire day there, just going to the rides and whatever. And after that, in I think around early August or somewhere around there, we will go to Toronto for an in-person executive trip. So that's a more formal trip where
Mhm.
executives will have to basically they'll have to attend an exam, and apart from the exam we will be going over some important things for the year. So basically it's a big formal meeting in person.
I
And
see. Okay.
apart from that, we'll also just walk around downtown, and we also need to take our executive pictures for the 2025-2026 term. So that's the main plan for that executive trip. It's gonna be really fun. At least that's what we hope for. But let's see what happens.
No, that sounds so cool. I want to be an exec now. Listeners, these are more reasons why you should join Brampton FBLC. But anyways, moving on, this question ties into something you've spoken about earlier. So what are some events, Hasham, that the general members of this chapter could participate in?
All right, so our general members can participate in a bunch of events. So I'll start with chapter level. So they can participate in all of our general member meetings. That we usually do them weekly or bi-weekly, and
Okay.
after CNLC we do them probably monthly. And apart from our journal member like journal meetings, they can attend workshops hosted by our Insight to Impact series, and then they can also attend our chapter's flagship events like Founders Den.
Mhm.
Apart from chapter level events, they can attend events from FBL Canada, so all of their workshops, and also the CNLC, which is the main event over chapter. And then
Mhm.
they can attend Target Alphas, STC, FPC, and uh, SPC. I think I said all three.
Mhm.
Uh, they can attend those three events, and then they can attend JC Canada's JCBC, and uh, I'm pretty sure they hosted a Wharton workshop this year, but
Okay.
they'll host more workshops. So yeah, they can attend national and chapter level events.
Wow, members are going to be busy, busy, eh? Now, what are the perks of being a general member or an executive?
So being a general member, if you're a part of our chapter, it gives you um a club experience like no other. Like I said, we are at the forefront of chapter development at in Canada right now.
Mhm.
We are, in my opinion at least, the most developed chapter in Canada right now. So
Totally, yeah.
our members get, as I said, we have two subsidiaries right now, so they can
Mhm.
attend around like four additional conferences apart from CNLC. Then we host our own founders den, and then they can attend other events. So there is a bunch of opportunities for them to win national level of awards, which will really help them boost their like extracurriculars for university applications. And we also teach our general members. We teach them about essential business skills and also about networking and building their public speaking skills. Like I said before, they're essential in the business world. And if you want to,
Mhm.
um, if you're an aspiring business person, you should definitely be a member because you really improve your public speaking skills. Like me, was really shy, like I said before,
Mhm.
and now, at least in my opinion, my confidence has gone up considerably.
All right, fantastic. Thank you for sharing. I love the emphasis on learning new skills and participating in various events. I think that's incredible, and that Brampton FBLC should definitely keep this up. Now, for the last question, which is my personal favorite, what advice would you give to students who aspire to achieve ambitious goals or leadership roles that may feel beyond their current reach?
So I'd say that you should still give it a shot. You might think that the role is far above your reach, but it's never decided, right? You never know if you don't try. So I'll just give an example myself. I applied for JEC Canada's National Operations Department as an intern. I thought that I wouldn't be able to get in the National Operations Department, but I just applied. And then one day I got an email saying I got accepted into the Department of Operations. So I'd say give it your best. Sometimes you might get rejected, sometimes they might ignore you, but in the end, if they do like your application, you will get in. So just give it a shot.
No, thank you. I especially like that example. And now, Hasham, thank you for joining us and sharing your insight with our listeners. Your leadership and dedication is highly remarkable, and I'm confident you've inspired many youth as you've inspired me today. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in on the second episode of the Leader's Voice series. If Hasham's story resonated with you, be sure to follow our podcast and share it with your friends. For now, this was Apoorva George, and I'll see you all next time.